how do you invest in them that they want to stay with you?
Pay them well, and no, you don't work weekends. Not with us, unless the client is paying.
And you work with your husband, right?
Yes.
A lot of people say you should not work with your husband. How do you segregate this like spouse role and like business partner?
9 to 6, business partner, after that spouse.
How has working with your husband strengthened your relationship?
I think it actually made our marriage a lot better. One thing is because we spend more time together.
So would you recommend people to work with their husband?
In this video, I'm going to deep dive into stories of entrepreneurs and change makers. This isn't just about business, but about the relationships, the struggles, and the breakthroughs that define success. Navigate this journey with me and explore what it truly means to thrive, live fully, and love deeply. Let's go.
Wendy,
Yes.
who are you and what have you built so far?
Okay, my name is Wendy and I am the Trans Creator Lead and also the co-founder of Trankreation. I run this business with my husband, so he is my business and also my life partner. One of our mission is actually to humanize the freelancing in advertising industry by making sure that while obviously we have to make profit as a business, but we also pay our trans creators and we also pay our team members fairly based on their worth.
Okay, and what is the beginning like for Trankreation?
For Create, right?
Yeah.
So we started full-time in 2020 actually, but before that I've been freelancing. So I'm originally Indonesian and I'm working in advertising agencies, right? So when it comes to like Bahasa Indonesia projects, some of my colleagues would ask me for help, to like, oh, does this make sense? Like, is my translator doing this correctly and stuff? And Trankreation was not even a term back then. I think a lot of people call it context translation, right? So I think it was something that we kind of coined as well as like translation, and then but also at the same time it's just a creation, so Trankreation.
So you started in the advertising world as well, right?
Yes, correct. So I started in advertising agency. I was actually an account servicing person, so I wasn't even a copywriter, which is I think a lot of people.
Okay,
A lot of people thought that in order for you to be a translator / trans creator, you have to be a copywriter.
Okay.
That's not true. As long as you have a good grasp of the language, both of the languages that you are doing, and also as long as you understand. For us, it's because we are hyper focused on advertising. We don't do any other translation. We only do translation or Trankreation for advertising. So as long as you have been in advertising agency, you can be a trans creator.
So you started as a freelance while you were working?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and then I think the pandemic hits. I think both of us, our jobs were kind of affected. We didn't lose our job, thankfully, but there were a lot of like cuts, and I think my husband was working as a headhunter back then. Obviously, everyone freeze hiring, so it's like, oh my God, what is going on, right? But at the same time, the Trankreation job picked up. Yeah. So
why did it pick up?
Because one of my clients is actually FMCG that has got to do with hygiene.
All right.
So hand washing, body washing, even face wash.
And they want to translate it to Bahasa?
Yes, because they want to advertise in Indonesia.
Okay. So that's the start of it all.
That was the start of me kind of thinking about maybe we can do this full time. Because if we do this full time, it means, I am able to spend more time building, maybe not just building the client base, more of building what other languages that we can do as well, because I have friends in the industry who can do, other languages. So that's how it started actually. And then I spoke to my husband and he was like, maybe you can, try to do it first. And then if really it is a good thing, if really it's working well, maybe I can join you 6 months later, and then 6 months later he joined me.
Okay, so you resigned first and then you...
Yes, I resigned first.
After your first biggest client actually...
Yes, correct. After it kind of picked up to a point where I think we can... I remember we made this whole entire thing. It's like, okay, if our next project is above X amount, I'm gonna resign. I'm gonna do this full time.
So that project already reached that X amount?
Yes, exactly. So like the next project that came, and this is still a running joke between me and that client who gave me that project, she was like, yeah, it was because of me. She kept saying that, but yeah, I mean, it was true. It was true. So that project was above the threshold that we were thinking of. And so I was like, okay, I'll take it as a sign.
Okay, so that's like more than your the salary that you have.
I think at that time it wasn't yet, but it was definitely, it's big enough for me to consider it as, okay, this is something that I think we can sustain as a
Okay.
full-time job.
Were you scared? How do you feel?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
Right, because I receive salary. I'm a salary worker, right? I'm a
Yeah.
salaried worker at that time,
Yes.
right? You know, so I still receive like monthly salary. Everything is stable. You know, it's like I know how much I'm gonna get at the end of every month. But then because of the pandemic, then I realized that, well, that is not true anymore, you know, because people can just cut my salary, right?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't have any say in it, right? If I don't like it, then I have to find a new job. I have to leave, right? That's one. And I think second thing is because with the pandemic, work from home is a big thing, right? So I thought, oh, okay, if let's say I can do something that can allow me to kind of work from anywhere, I
Yeah.
think that'll be perfect, because then
Yeah.
I have family in Singapore, I have family in Indonesia, right? You know,
Yes.
then I can spend more time with both sides of the family. But yeah, absolutely scared. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, like, you know, I think first few months definitely, because when the income is not stable,
Yeah.
it becomes like, oh my god, I'm not getting anything this
Yes,
month.
yes. That's what I'm feeling as well, because I just resigned as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
starting in this new venture, and I always have this doubt whether this is the right choice. And I feel like the moment that you were in before is what I am
I
in
think
right
so,
now.
yeah, I think so.
But
yeah.
looking back, do you regret your decision or?
No, not at all. Because I think what we were very lucky about is that I managed to use the network that I had in agency, in my previous job, you know, that and they were so willing, they were so open to help me.
Okay.
Like the moment they heard that, hey, I'm doing this full time, because obviously they were the ones who used to ask for my help and stuff. So the moment they heard that, hey, I'm doing this, I'm like, oh my god, send me your red card, send me your this, send me your that, I'll share it with everybody. So
Oh,
I was so thankful that, you know,
they're very supportive
yes, I had this huge support from people that, you know, is in the industry, still are in the industry, and even the newer ones, you know, the ones that I basically like cold email and cold call. They were like, oh my god, you know, what is this? You know, like, are you from advertising? It's like, yes, I'm from advertising. Oh my god, like, oh, this is new.
Yeah.
Oh, this is amazing. Oh, if this takes off, you're gonna do great. You know, like, it's just, I think the industry in general, we are just very supportive of each other. You know, not everybody, in a sense that, you know, I think a lot of people were also quite like, oh, what is this? You know, why are you guys so different from the
Yeah.
rest of the other translators? You know,
Okay.
but other than that, everyone is kind of very, very supportive of it.
And how did the Create expanded to where it is now?
So a lot of, in terms of language, right, we kind of follow what our clients are looking for, right? You know, so obviously started with Bahasa Indo, which is just with myself. I have another Bahasa Indonesia translator also at the moment, so I'm not just doing it myself, but mostly it's still with me. For the other languages, it's kind of like, say for example, this client, they have worked with us for Bahasa Indonesia, and then they would ask, do you have Thai? Do you have Vietnamese? Do you have this? Do you have that? And then after that, one of the client actually say, hey, I think you should go and look for like these languages, you know, like a list of languages. Then you can be like a translator for Southeast Asia. I mean, you know, it was a whole entire joke for like a few months of like, oh, you know, oh my god, can you imagine that kind of like, ha ha ha, you know, like, and then I actually started doing it, and because I have a lot of friends working in agency, right? You know, so I can ask them, oh, do you know anyone in Thailand? Do you know anyone in Vietnam? Do you know this? Do you know that? And then it just kind of grow from there, and then it just continues. In terms of clients, so see, the thing is that why I am so adamant about making sure that we have good service and good quality, because 95% of our marketing is actually word of mouth. So a lot of the clients that came to us,
It's
it was
true.
like,
Referrals.
yeah, it was like, oh, I got your contact from so and so, I got your contact from my friend, I got your contact from my colleague, blah blah blah, you know. And then, so that's why our main hyper focus is on quality, and then, you know, service as well. So that's how we are growing. It's very organic in a sense that we don't put a lot of money on like, oh, we do these ads, we do this marketing, you know, which is a bit ironic because we
Yeah.
are doing advertising.
Yeah,
We can't really advertise.
But word of mouth is also a very a big part in marketing, right? Because like if your quality is not there, how can someone actually refer you to others? And if they come in, and even though there's a lot of marketing, but the product itself is or service is
Yeah.
not good, no one would
Yeah.
want to come the second time, right?
Exactly. So it's the retaining, it's the retaining power that I'm looking for actually. Retaining power and also like referring, that people will refer us to other people.
And how do you hire those new? Do you call it employees or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they are our freelancers. I call them our transcreators. So we got them again from contacts, you know, in the agency, friends of friends, and then we've got contacts via LinkedIn as well. Cause LinkedIn, but you just have to know what you are looking for. So for us, it's very specific. We are looking for someone who is or has worked in advertising agency before, because if not, then they will not be familiar with the whole entire process, right? You know, the briefing process, and then the creativity, and then the timeline, all the demands that comes from, because all of our clients, I think 95% of them are actually from advertising agency.
Okay.
So that's our main focus, and then they have to be someone who is a native to that language, which means that if I want to find somebody who can transcribe into Vietnamese, they have to be someone who is Vietnamese, ideally someone who is actually living in Vietnam. Yeah.
And they have to know English, or?
Of course, yeah.
So all the clients speak in English?
Yes.
That's one main language that you guys use?
Correct. So it is English to target language or target language to English. So it's not going to be like Bahasa Indonesia to Thai, for example.
Okay.
Like that's not a service that we are offering at the moment.
So they are freelancers. You give them a cut of the payment
Yes,
from
correct.
the
So
client.
it's not really a cut. So basically what we do is that we have a rate card for our freelancer, and then from that rate card we build another rate card for our clients. So that additional money that is in the client rate card, that is our card basically.
Okay.
That is the company's card.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they are freelancers, you know, sometimes it's very hard to retain them. And how do you invest in them that they want to stay with you and only exclusively for you?
Yeah, exclusively is not. I always tell them, you know, like you shouldn't be exclusive with us, you know.
Okay.
Work with other people if possible. If you still have your full-time job, obviously continue doing that, you know,
Okay.
because actually I prefer people who still have full-time jobs in advertising, because then they are faster than me, you know, in understanding like, oh, what is the latest trends and everything in their countries, right, you know. But in order for them to stay with us, pay them well, that's all. Pay them well, pay them what they're worth. Don't bargain too much, and also make sure that you actually invest in terms of teaching them as well. Like, you know, for example, because for us, we don't just do transcreation, we also do shoot and also voiceover recording supervision.
Okay.
So this person can come in and go into a, you know, voiceover recording, and they're like basically directing the talent and say that, oh, I think you should say it this way, this is supposed to be the tonality, blah blah blah, right? You know, so some people are obviously better than that, as compared to others. Those who are probably not as experienced, we bring them into like we still bring them into recordings, and then we just guide them along of like, oh, you know, I think next time you can do this, you can do that.
Okay.
And also in terms of I think the transcreation itself, you know, we always like share with them, oh, these are some of the best practices that we've had in the past, these are some of the things that have worked, even glossaries that, you know, we have created.
You created it?
Yeah. Yeah, I created.
okay.
So for example, because we have clients that have been with us for a very long time, right? And sometimes some of the words keep repeating
Okay.
in that particular language. So we create like a whole entire glossary. We share that with our translators.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's completely fine. Like, I mean, I've got questions like, okay, but they are freelancers, what,
Yeah.
you know? So what are you gonna do if, let's say, one day they decided to,
Yeah.
hey, I don't want to work with you anymore, or like worse maybe, or they want to start their own company, you know, with all the knowledge that you have taught them, you know. My answer is very good. Well done. I think you should do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
So you don't have this like competition feeling?
No. I feel like if somebody from my team, from one of the freelancers that I'm working with, come to me and one day say, hey, I actually quit my job and I'm going to
Start.
do this full time, I'll be like, what support do you need? You know, because I feel like then it's I'm happy to know that I have a part in their growth.
Okay.
In
But
everyone's
what if
growth,
your
yeah.
client is stolen by them?
I mean, this industry is about, you know, getting the clients that,
Yeah.
you know, you want and that you need, right? You know, so obviously we have like NDAs and stuff, like
Okay.
agreements and stuff. But that's why you need relationship with your freelancers, and that's why you need work ethics, right? You know, with as a freelancer and also as a company, right? You know, so I am working with the trust that they wouldn't do something like that behind my back, and
Okay.
I'm also working with a trust that you know, they will tell me if, let's say, something like that happens, and they did actually. So somebody
Okay.
actually approached, one of my client actually approached my
Them
freelancer,
directly,
yes,
yeah.
and she told me,
Okay.
said, hey, I don't think this is right.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what do you do with that?
So I just told her that no, just don't reply, and then I just, you know, I just clarified with the client that, hey, actually, you know, for work that is with us, you know, the project manager is me, so if anything you can come and talk to me. And the
Okay.
client said, oh yeah, no, so sorry, I wasn't aware of that, blah blah blah, you know.
Okay, so-
because sometimes it's just the client was not aware of like the processes.
okay.
Yeah.
So did they continue their contract with you?
Yeah, yeah, of
so
course.
it's through you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
a very good.
it happened a few times, by the way.
Oh, okay. But
Yeah.
your freelancers are really good, right?
Yeah, they are.
So do you like have weekly meetings? How do you?
No, not
manage-
really. Not
Okay.
really. So weekly meetings, not really. We used to have newsletters every 3 months, but then that kind of stopped after a while because a lot of our projects are, you know, it's new developments. Like in the past, it was quite smaller, right? The projects, and then now it becomes bigger projects, and then it becomes like, oh, you have to sign this NDA, you have to sign that NDA. You can't tell
Okay.
anyone before it comes
Yeah.
out and stuff. So then I feel that okay, my newsletter is getting more and more redacted. So I was like, okay, never mind, you know. But yeah, we have, I think we have some smaller teams, right? You know, so like for example, this is a client A team, this is the client B team, or even like the, you know, the country team. Like, oh, this is the Vietnam team, this is the Malaysia team, this is the, you know, East Asia team. You know, so we do have teams like that, and we have like WhatsApp chat groups and stuff. In fact, just before the holiday, so on I think 2 weeks ago, we had a bit of like a virtual Christmas party with some of the team members, you know, and we just like chit chat, and then we just got to know each other, see their face in real time and stuff like that.
Okay. So it's like more towards communicating with them regularly, and you showing your care to them.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%. And also make sure that they know you are not treating them as just like, you know, a cog in the machine. Like, just make sure that, okay, you know that you are treating them like humans. For example, weekend works. I know a lot of translation houses, they do weekend works, right? You know, and like, oh, I can work weekends and stuff. And I'm like, no, you don't work weekends. I always tell them that, not with us. I say, you want to work weekends with other companies? Sure. You don't work weekends with us unless the client is paying. If the
Okay.
client is paying extra, then yes, we are working weekends. If the client is not paying extra, no, you are not working weekends with us. Like your weekends, go and do something else. You know, go shopping
okay.
lah, go fishing or whatever. Don't work. You know,
But
like-
what if they only have time in the weekends?
No,
to-
that's fine. If that is the case, that's fine. But if
okay.
let's say they're like, oh, you know, I can force myself to work weekends,
Oh.
I'll be like, no, don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you want them to focus only during the weekdays when it's working
Yes,
hours.
correct. When it's working, I mean, of course, if let's say they have a full-time job during the working hours, then they can only work at night. I mean, I have no qualms about it,
Okay,
right? You know.
okay.
And in terms of the turnaround time, I also make sure that it's human, lah. You know, it's not like, oh, I need this by, I'm briefing you today, and I need this by today, like.
Yeah.
If it's not, if we cannot avoid it,
Yeah.
there is going to be an extra fee, an extra this, an extra that, you know, like, but it's never like, oh, you do this for free, I don't care how you do it for me. No,
Yeah.
it will never be like that. Not
Okay.
with us. Yeah.
So you really value their time, their efforts,
Yes.
and you make sure that they don't cross that line if
Yeah.
they're not paid properly. by
Oh
the
yeah,
client.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Even rounds of revisions, which is sometimes it's a very slippery slope, right? You know,
Yeah.
even with
Yeah.
with like video as
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like sometimes client can ask like, I don't know, 5-6 rounds. So with us, to the client, we say that okay, this fee includes up to 2 rounds of revision.
Yeah.
More than
We
that,
need to be.
you have to pay.
Yeah. We need to be
Yeah.
direct sometimes.
Yeah.
If not, they won't be aware as
Correct.
well, right?
Because they don't know sometimes, right?
Yeah.
You know, they don't know. Different companies have a different ways of working. So it's up to us to educate them upfront. This is how we work. This is what you are getting. And if you want more, we can help you, but you also have to pay us. So same thing with same-day delivery, urgent delivery. Everything has a loading fee. And that loading fee, let's say for example, we take 25% from the client. The trans creators are getting 25%
Okay.
of their fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
So very fair.
Have to, yeah.
And after this few years of building a business, what's one biggest advice for anyone who wants to build a business?
Be patient. Be patient with yourself and also with the business. Nothing comes up overnight, you know, and sometimes there are bad days, but it's never a bad life. Yeah, and pay your people well. Pay your people, pay yourself also.
Yeah.
Don't forget about yourself. Yeah, take care of yourself also.
What's the biggest client that you've ever gotten so far? And you were like, oh my gosh, I've never received this kind of.
Yeah, I will say the agency name. I think because I think everybody knows already. Anyway. So most of them are actually with us now.
Oh,
Yeah, most of them
okay.
is with us. Our first client was with group. The account is actually for the biggest right now is yeah.
So they do a lot of their.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they have a lot of languages. They need help in a lot of languages.
Okay.
And we happen to have all those languages that they need. So
Okay.
we
and
help.
what sets you apart from other transcreation companies?
I think a lot of companies, especially in Singapore, right, when they say they are a translation company, they translate for every single industry, which is not a bad thing. You know, I feel that if let's say they're able to do that, perfect, right? With us, we focus only on advertising because that's what we know and that's what we are good at. And that's why
Okay.
we can be super hyper focused on that.
Okay.
And our people are all advertising people. So these are people who are in and out every day, you know. Even when they go home, the first thing that they see on their phone is, you know, some of us, we don't even buy the YouTube Premium so that we can get advertisement on YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So you know what to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ah, so
Yeah.
all those like ads from your big brands, it's
Yeah.
most likely translated by your company.
Not all of it. Yeah, not all of it. But yeah, I think some of it, yes.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay. And you work with your husband, right?
Yes.
A lot of people say you should not work with your husband. So why do you choose to pull in your husband into this business?
I think at that time was because we see, or rather, at that time I was quite struggling with doing it all myself, right? You know, so my option was either I hire someone to help me with the financial side and also the business development so that I can focus on the transcreation and also project management, making sure that my transcreators are well taken care of, right? You know, that's a full-time job on its own. So that's my option. Either that or I ask for his help. And he happens to be a very, very good salesperson.
Okay.
So I said, do you want to join me full-time? Because, you know, previously we talked about it and it was like, maybe I'll join you full-time in 6 months, right? You know, so 6 months later, I was like, do you want to?
Were there like quarrels between you two?
Yes, 100% for sure. Because, but it's not a quarrel. It's like, you know, when you're in office, right? Sometimes you have disagreements with your colleagues. Sometimes you have disagreements with your boss, right? So it's not really quarrel because of anything. It's more because I have to protect my role and he has his KPI as well, right? You know, so a very recent example is that, you know, he wanted to get a client in by giving them some discounts. So my first question was, okay, you're giving the client a discount. Are you cutting the transcreator's fee? Because I have 9 people behind me, right? You know, are you cutting their fee? Because if yes, you have to tell me first before you tell the client. Right? You know, so that was kind of like, okay, I have to protect my people. I have to protect the project people. While he has his KPI, which is to get a client in. Right? You know. So, but the thing is, just like with any other work, you cannot take things personally. With this kind of discussions, right? You know, because you understand that each of you has your own KPI, each of you has your own, you know, job desk, right? You know, that you have to protect, right? You know, so when things like that happen, we discuss from a point of view of
Professional.
That this is my point of view as a project manager. That is your point of view as a salesperson. Where can we meet in the middle? Yeah. So things like that. So don't ego lah in a way.
Don't take things too hard as well.
Don't take things too hard. You know, like it is never personal. Like at work also, it's never personal. What you know, you never say to the person like, you suck as a person. You never say that. What you know, at most you will say like, I think you can do better in this way, this way, right? You know, it has to be like that.
So you came to an agreement to see what's best for both of you.
Of course, yeah.
But how do you segregate this like spouse role and like business partners?
Okay, 9 to 6, business partner. After that, spouse. Yeah.
What if in between after 6 he still talks about
tomorrow?
No. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's job.
Oh, so after work, no more
business.
Even though it's urgent.
No. If it's urgent, I think if it's urgent, we can spend a bit more time on it if it's like super urgent. But let's be fair, nothing is life and death urgent, right? In this, unless you were in ER, then maybe you know. Right. Yeah, nothing is ever that urgent lah, to be honest. I mean, yes, with advertising, working hours are quite long. You know, so. Yeah, sometimes we spend a bit more time into the night, you know, sometimes even after dinner, we are still like sending quotes and stuff like that. And that's totally fine, you know, but usually the bigger discussion, we have it in the morning when we're all refreshed. Even, so I'm currently in Singapore, right? But at our place in Bandung, so we have a place in Bandung, we actually have an office in the house. Anything that is work related, we have to talk about it in the office. Out of the office, no more work talk. Yeah.
Who gave this idea, or
we just agreed on it? I think it was kind of like, I think I was kind of the one who was like, we have to make sure that we segregate this properly, otherwise the marriage is gonna fail and the business is gonna fail, right? You know, because I've seen so many examples of that. So even with the roles as well, it's very, very, very segregated. So he takes care of business development and finance, I take care of project management, taking care of the freelancers, blah, blah, blah. Looking for freelancers, that's me. So let's say, if I want to BD to someone, right, I have to tell him. I have to tell him like, can I BD to this person or do you want to do it? Same thing if, let's say for example, I'm not available, I'm sick or whatever, but then he needs to send a brief to the transcriptor, which he is very, very capable in doing lah. So even he is not from advertising, right, but he is very good at that. So kudos to him. But he still need to show me. Is this okay? Do you want me to change anything else? Yeah.
And I find it very interesting because I personally, I wouldn't want to work with my husband. Like if I have a husband, I think I try my best not to work with him. Because I feel like it might affect in some way. But how has working with your husband strengthened your relationship?
It's very good. I think a lot of people have the same concern that you do. oh my God, what if it's going to make my marriage worse?
Yeah.
I think it actually made our marriage a lot better. One thing is because we spend more time together.
Okay.
I think that's one thing. So we have this like shared experience. We have like shared, you know how you are with your colleagues at work?
Yeah.
And when you are dealing with something, you know, oh my God, you have somebody to like talk about it. Talk together.
Share the burden.
You know, share the experience. And, you know, I guess kind of like be about it, you know, that was one. For me, and another thing is I feel like we learn from each other also. So I learned how to manage my finances better, and I think for him is because his background is never from comms. His background is actually from engineering, right? You know, so in terms of communicating via emails and stuff, you know, he learned what he needs to learn for his job, you know. But then for us in comms, we are a bit more like, oh, you know, we have to be eloquent, blah blah blah, and stuff, you know. So he kind of learned about that from this partnership as well. So I think it's good that we professionally can grow as well. And also personally, I think it strengthens our relationship.
Yeah, and it's very good that you separate it out. Like you mentioned, must only talk about work in that office space. Must only be handling like certain things that you wouldn't be so involved in. And I think it is clear because there cannot be two leaders in one area.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
That's good. That's where the fights will happen, because you even with your colleagues, right? You know, you have different skill sets. You have different ways of approaching things, and that is like colleague of the same level, right? You know, and this one is when you are running a business together. You will have your own ways, your own set ways of doing things. You will have your own ego of like, oh, I have to do it this way because this is what I know. You know, so. Just leave what you just do what you're good at and leave others to the other person.
Yeah, and I find it very inspiring because I feel like I'm very strict at work. But then personally at home, I'm actually very quiet. I don't talk much. I just follow. Do you ever feel like you're two different person in office and at home?
I think, in a sense, yes, because you know, like at work, I have to be the more extroverted person, right? You know, because I have to kind of like make sure that I talk to the clients in the way that they kind of want to be talked to, and then I talk to my translators also the same way, like, you know, like if I need to ask for help, I have to, oh my God, I'm so sorry, can I get this help from you? You know, I don't do that. You know, in real life, you know, I don't say sorry 10 times a day, right? Right, outside of work, right? But sometimes I have to do that because, you know, things needs to be done. And even for my husband as well, he's very introverted as a person. But because he is a salesperson, you know, he is a BD. So when he's at work, he needs to be like, hi, hi, oh my God, how are you? Hi, you know, so yeah, I think yes, definitely. But that's the thing, why we need to separate the work life and the personal life, right? Because once 6 o'clock hits, 7 o'clock hits, okay, done. You know, like you can be back to your normal self. You know, not saying that when you're at work you cannot be your normal self. I think you have to. You know, you have to be genuine no matter where you are, no matter what you do. But sometimes you have to, you know, work your role. You have to behave the way your role is expecting you to behave. Yeah.
So would you recommend people to work with their husband?
If they get along, yeah. If they get along, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you would say you get along very well with your husband?
Yeah, I mean, like with all relationships and with all marriages, again, you know, of course there are some parts where sometimes we disagree, and we are two very different people.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it gets fun because you know, you get to learn from each other. So I think if you want to do a business with your partner, right, go into it with an open mind. Go into it with an open mind of like, I get to learn something from this person, and I get to treat this person as my business partner, and I get to treat him as my life partner as well. So what can I learn from him as a life partner? What can I learn from him as a business partner? So just go into it with like an open mind. Don't be super like set in your ways of like, it has to be run this way. You know, like, because even if it's not your life partner, even if you do a business with somebody else, if you are like that, it will never run, you know, because your business partner will be like, then why do you even need me? You know, you're so set in your own ways, right?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, just go into it with an open mind. Go into it with a mind of like, I'm gonna learn something from this person, you know, and you will learn something new. It's like, oh, I didn't know you are like this at work, because you never work together, you know. But then when you actually work together, you figure out, oh, you're like this at work, you know. Hey, that's cool, you know. Like, I didn't know that, you know. So it's fun. It's really fun to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it in that positive way. I always feel like there's this fear, but since you mentioned about it, I feel like I learned something new.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Now I wanna, if I have a future partner, maybe I can consider.
Can try, consider,
Yeah.
But like I said, just, you know, keep your ego in check, and then just come into it with an open mind. Like the argument again, it's a bad day, it's not a bad life. You know, it's a bad day, it's not a bad marriage.
Yeah.
And the thing is that with arguments and with you know, disagreements, you learn something from each other. Oh, this is how you want to be talked to. And again, when you have that, you know, argument, or when you have kind of like that disagreement, come into it not as a personal attack. Come into it from like, this is my point of view as someone who is holding this role, as someone who has this KPI, and as someone who is, you know, of a certain level in this company, for example, right? You know, so yeah, it depends.
Okay. That's a very interesting take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I really appreciate the time for you to be
No,
here.
happy to.
Yeah, because this is something new to us as well, creating this podcast, and I learned so much from you.
I'm glad.
Giving a quality service to all your clients, and also being able to work with your husband, segregating the duties and really taking off the time after work hours and exclusively just have that role as a spouse after that.
Yeah.
And I find that this is very inspiring for myself, and I hope people can actually see that through this video. If anyone wants to use your service, where can they find you?
Okay, so we have a website. It's createtranscreation.com. Yeah. And we have LinkedIn as well. So I mean, you can come to my LinkedIn. It's Wendy Kartikasari, and then there is a link to the LinkedIn of the company from there.
Yes. So we'll take note of that. We'll put the link here.
Thank you.
And
Yay.
we wish create the best and huge success.
Thank you. I hope
Thank
you
you.
have the best as well for this one.